So what we got here is a little story. It's an old Norwegian story. Sometimes they used to have an old beginning to a story. You know, once upon a time there was something happened in heaven, and a door opened, and a beautiful woman looked out. And then she said, nothing's been going on up here for the last 9 million years, but down there it looks like trouble. So she pitched a tent on the shore of the sea and put on big, brilliant banners all over it and just went there and sat there. That's when the great, beautiful woman came to visit and just went in a tent. And so that's the way the story begins, and then it just says, whoever was interested in that tent with the fluttering flags met her. The rest of them, they all died. Hell with them. If you see a tent with fluttering things on it, and they may have a beautiful woman inside, cancel your engagement. So that's how the stories begin. Here's a typical story then. So one time there was 3 sons. There was 3 sons, and there was a mother, and there was a father, and there was a Norwegian house, and the boys are getting ready to go out in the world. They must have been about 14 or 15. That's the time they went in the old days. And the mother said, you know, I'm going to give each of you a gift, a great gift, and this is a gift that you can have anything that you want in the world, one thing. What do you want? The oldest son said, well, I'd like every time I reach in my pocket that I could have money there. He said, okay. Second son, I'd like it every time I put my hand in my pocket, I'd have money there. You know, the second one is sort of a little like the first one. And third one said, I would like it that every beautiful woman would fall in love with me. That's what I'd like. So, woo. Who's going to get the money right away? You know, it's the 2 older boys. And so they say, we're going out in the world. And I got my father's horses, and I got this, and I got that. And Tuzi was the youngest son. Can I come with you? You little rat. You've been kissing your mother's ass since you were 4 years old. That fucking little smile you got is really disgusting. You never earn a damn thing. You can go, but you understand that we're going to have money, man, and we're going to dress up. And I don't want a creep like you looking like you're left over from 1968. You know, left here. So you're going to have to pretend to be our servant, or it doesn't work. Will you agree to be our servant? Okay, that means you got to stand in the back of the carriage, and you got to take care of the luggage and all that. And okay, he said that's the deal. So they go out to the first inn, and the innkeeper is there, and he sees these 2 guys riding in with some nice horses and the carriage and everything. And he says to his wife, get going. These people are going to stay with us. We got to have some good salmon and stuff like that. And look at those men. Aren't they wonderful? And the wife looks out and she says, I don't know, those 2 guys, I don't give a rat's turd for them. But that other boy, I like him. That's a handsome boy. He says, stop looking out the goddamn window and start putting on the salmon and everything like that, you know. And don't you go out. I'm sick of you always thinking about the fleas on the asses of these young men. I'm sick of all that. So just turn away from the window and don't go out in the yard at all. So the younger boy's out there. He's taking the luggage, you know, and bringing it up and getting ready. And so a little time goes by. And then she says, I got to go out and take a pee. I got to go in the yard. I can't. Yeah, that's the advantage of no toilets. So she goes out in the yard, and she sees, so she goes up to him and she says, you know, you're a handsome boy. You know, I think you're the most handsome boy I've ever seen in the whole world. I just love looking at you. But I got a husband, and I tell you, I'm going to give you a gift. Oh, says the boy, what's that? I'm giving you a scissors. And every time you cut it like that in the air, then beautiful cloth will appear. Whatever you want. Chinese silk, Swedish, whatever you want, it'll come, and you can cut it and make clothes, whatever you want. Oh, he said, that's a very nice gift. Thank you. So he goes back, and so the evening goes as the evening goes, and the night goes as the night goes, and the next day they start out again. This time, they stand at a slightly more expensive inn, and they say it's a Tuesday. Tell them that we are princes. Well, because they've been rich in their hands in their pocket, and they got even more money now. They stop at these places and buy for clothes. So I said, okay. So again, we got the same scene here, and the young boy Tuesday is taking out the luggage and doing things, and the innkeeper's wife looks out and says, "Whoa." And the husband says, "God damn it, you haven't got any brains at all. You know, we're running out of outfit here. Those two guys got money, and I don't care what to look at the goddamn boys. And I want you to pay attention to them and get some good liquor and stuff for them and stop looking at that little boy." And she says, "Well, okay, what can you do? I mean, is there someone like that inside of you? Is there someone like those two, like that innkeeper inside of you? Stop this shit looking at that beauty. I'm sick of that shit." So, anyway, so what can she do? That other one in you that gets rebuked has to get back to work. Gets back to work, she starts fixing things, and then she has an excuse. "Oh, I got to go out in the yard because I'm going to make an apple pie, and that's where the apple tree is." She goes out there and she says, "You are beautiful, honey. You're the most wonderful looking thing I've ever seen. My husband is nothing but a pig turd compared to you." And I just wish that you would stop moving that luggage around so I could just look at you. And he said, "Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that." But she says, I don't know what I can do for you, but I'll give you a gift anyway." "Oh, good. What is that?" "It's a tablecloth. Now, this tablecloth, when you lay it out, all kinds of food appear immediately. Whatever you want will appear on top of the tablecloth. You can have Chinese, you can have, Tibetan, you can have anything you want, and even French, and, wines will appear, and Melodoma, this is a good story, don't you think so? The wines will appear. Anyway, so he says thank you, and they go through the usual stuff, and the innkeeper goes and does his usual ass-kissing stuff with the two older brothers and tries to get a little tip from them and everything, and the boy has to sleep out in the barn or something like that. So that's the way that goes. Then, it's a rule, nothing ever happens twice. You're going to have to happen 3 times. So they go to another inn along down the road, and this time they got a big carriage. I mean, they bought one overnight, and it's got gold stuff on it, and it looks like Queen Elizabeth going to the palace and stuff like that. And so they says, "Tell them we're sons of emperors." They're up in the ante too. So he goes in and says, "Yeah, these are a couple of sons of emperors." He goes, "Oh my God," the man says, "sons of emperors, who knows what'll happen? We got to treat them right. Get to work, come on, get some food and get that goddamn oven going, and let's kill that lamb you love so much. And let's get some decent food for them, and stop looking out the window. What do you see out there? Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, I don't know. They must make these boys different in some other countries, man. I don't say anything like that. I got that little urge there, and so he says the usual thing, because the one got to say the same thing. I don't know. I get shut up, and she'll say the typical thing too. Those two guys that you like so much. Would you know what they remind me of? They remind me of a bit of a little tiny rotten place on an eel's ass. That's what those guys look like. Different judgments, different judgments. And so she finds an excuse to go out into the yard because the well is there, and she's got to get a special water for these two big guys. So she goes out there, and he's unloading the luggage, and she says, "I've always wanted to see someone like you. I dreamt about you, I think, at night, and is there anything I can do for you?" He said, "No, thank you, madam. Is there anything?" "Well, I know I can't. We can't talk. My husband will, kiss my ass. But we gotta. I'd like to give you a gift." "Okay, what is a gift?" "I want to give you a tap, and that's a faucet, And when you open it, anything kind of liquor you want comes out of it. Milk will come out of it, 2%, whole, organic, and also you can get wine, decent wine, not that California shit. You can get really good wine, and cognac and vodka. You can have vodka. And he said, well, that's a great gift. Thank you very much. And he puts it in his pocket, and that's the way that goes. So you hear the story, you can feel it's going in a certain direction. Got one more. This time they go to the emperor's palace. They go, this got 4 in it, not 3. That's a high-powered story. They get to the emperor's palace this time. Well, there's inequality inside the psyche. Bound to have some effect sooner or later. They get to the emperor's palace, and so he says to the emperor, we have vast lands in Pomerania and Australia and stuff like that, and we'd like to stay at your house. Oh my God, Jürgen. He says, we are emperors ourselves, we're sons of emperors. And okay, well, we don't allow common people in our place. So we're going to have to get rid of this guy you got with you. He can unload the luggage, and then we'll row him over to the island. To the island? Yeah, we got all the poor people over in the island. And all convicts and all that kind of people over in the island. And that's the way we keep our place good. So we're going to have to take your guy, and we'll row him over to the island as soon as he's done unloading the luggage. So that's the way that goes. And he gets there, and, the people are small and hunched over. Can you see that? Don't have good minerals for their bones. They don't have good clothes. They're in ratty shape. And that's the way it is in the world. There's a lot of people over there on the island. What happens is that when they row anybody over there, like this guest here, they bring along some shitty food for them. A little bit of old bread, dipped in sour milk and stuff like that. And you can see by looking at them that they're not getting much food. So that's the way that is. And they take the boy off the boat, and he says, man, there's a lot of poverty around here. They said, yeah, that's right, because he never gives us anything. We can't leave the island. He's going to kill us. And that's the way the emperor is. So the emperor was, there are rumors he was born in Texas, but we don't know. Anyway, so the boy says, the boy brings out his scissors. And he gets clothes. And pretty soon they're all lining up. They get their little shirts and their beautiful things. And they do all of that. And it takes quite a while, but finally everyone on the island is dressed. And so the next morning, when he goes over back to the mainland to take care of that, the people come back and report that everybody is well dressed in that island now. How can that be? How can everybody be well dressed? What is this? You some kind of magician? No. I have this little scissors, and when I move it, cloth appears, and it's very easy to make clothes and stuff like that. The king's daughter was listening. That's so good. It hasn't been mentioned so far, this problem with women. It hasn't been mentioned. The king's daughter was listening. And he's handsome, right? So she doesn't say, oh, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. She doesn't say that. She's a king's daughter. But she says, I'd love to have some clothes like that. Could you give me the scissors? Would you please? Could I have the scissors? What do you think? Should he give it to her? How many say yes, he should give it to her? How many say no, he shouldn't give it? Wow. Is there a third group? Is there a third group? Make a deal. Make a deal. That's what makes the world go round. And you've ever had a wife? Make a deal. So that's great. He says, I make a deal. You got to know everything you know when you come to this part of your psyche when the deal making starts playing. So, what's the deal going to be? She says, I'd love to have dresses like that and cloth like that. And he says, it'll have to be a deal. What should he ask for? What should she ask for? A kiss? Man, you blow that stuff fast, don't you? But this is really important. What are you going to ask inside your psyche when you're making a deal? So, but anyway, this is something to think about, because in the psyche, nothing can be very simple. You just can't say, I want a palace somehow. So you have to think before you agree to the deal. And of course, that means you have to decide, what is it I really want? We've been talking about Persian poetry and Persian literature and so on. What do the Persians say that you want? What is the word used a lot, both by the troubadours in southern France and by the Persians and so on? What's the word? Beloved. The word beloved is in there. The beloved is going to have to be in there somewhere if this is your last chance for ask for what you want. That's a big teaching. I mean, I never really got that out of Christianity. And the troubadours, as you know, who carried this stuff into Bulgaria and then into southern France, and all the troubadours come out of that, and they had these love affairs you'd have with a woman, in which you would say to her, I know you're married and everything, and I want to write my poems to you, and I'm going to write these poems to you, but I'm not demanding anything from you. I'm not asking that I can sleep with you. But I want to have you for the shield, for the front. And she'd say, yes. I'd like to have men write poems. Are they good poems? And he does that, and then somehow, then the human and the divine is mingled. Did you see how well he did that? He's writing the poems to a living woman, and everybody in town knows about it. And then they're partly concealed poems, and so on and so on. So he's able to have the beloved right in front of him. You hear me, do you? And a lot of that used to be done. And Hafez, for example, one of the great poet Hafez, in the early part of his life, he was a baker's. His father had a baker, and he was the living baker, making goods. And there was to a rich person's house, and he saw the daughter for a minute. And her name translated something like as a little sprig of sugar cane. So, what did he do? He continued to deliver bread, didn't he? What else did he do? He might go and stand outside her house at night for 8 or 9 hours. This is a favorite scene. And the cooks and everybody comes out and say, well, you get away from here. I mean, you're ruining property values. Get the fuck out of this place. In order to go right up to her and say, I'm Hafez and I'm a daughter of a son of a baker. Would you marry me? No, forget it. It doesn't have that way in the psyche either. You got to earn it somehow. You hear me what I'm saying? So, anyway, I just want to remind you of all of those traditions in which the young man, and Hafez, I'll tell you this one story, and then A second thing that happened to him is that there was a man outside of town, a great poet outside of town for 200 years before. He had a tomb there, and he promised that you'd have the gift of poetry if you could stay awake in his tomb for 40 nights. And Hafez took the deal. And he stayed away. I won't tell you the rest of the story, but you know what I mean? To stay awake for 40 nights indicates to your psyche you're serious. You know what I mean? He had to deliver bakery goods during the day, too. The psyche wants to know if you're serious. Just coming up to Sturgeon Lake is not sufficient proof. It's a good start, especially if you come several times, you know. It's a good start. And to listen to teachers is a good start. But, you know, the psyche is old, and I thought Robert would say this thing, Grant can give you anything, just right away, just because you got a nice face. What does he say to her? He says, I will give you the scissors if I can sleep in your bedroom on the floor, and you can have 4 men there to guard you to make sure it'll be all right with you. King says, no way. She says, oh, Daddy, come on. You know, your brother's one of the guards, you know. He doesn't drink after 4 in the afternoon. I mean, you know, he'll protect me, Daddy. Can you feel her situation? Whoa. Ah, yes, that'll be great, Daddy. He'll protect me. Don't worry about it. So that's what happens. And he sleeps on the floor, and the next day he gets up, and they roam over to the island, and he gets there, and he sees that they're beautifully dressed, but they don't have much food. They're skinny. So he takes out his thing, right, and he lays it down, the tablecloth down. Whoa, 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 whoa. All kinds of stuff start turning up on there, and Szechuan chicken, and God knows what all. And pretty soon the people eat all day, and you know, and then wow, and they feel fantastic. And so when they row him back over, the guy said, I don't know what's going on, but the people were laughing and carrying on and singing and eating. What the hell is going on the island? I don't know. But it doesn't look good for our side. Anyway, so he gets back there and says, what happened? Well, I have this tablecloth. You know, I lay out the tablecloth, and any kind of food you want appears on it. It's one of those things. And it's sort of in my family. I don't know. Whatever. So she says, I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that tablecloth. I don't know which way we should go here, but you know, women understand the brilliance and beauty of the world. And your soul understands it too. She said, I'd love to have that tablecloth. He says, well, what are you going to say? Got to be a deal. He says, she says, well, what's the deal? I want to sleep on the bench near your bed. And you can have 8 men to guard you. Daddy, we got a deal here. And of course, he would like to have the tablecloth too, wouldn't he? Because he's just hiring and firing all these cooks and everything, and you know, and you get all these cooks, you know, from Minneapolis who know how to make New Age food. That's all the fuck they know. And so he'd like to have it too, you know. It isn't only her that wants it. The king's got nothing to offer, but she got something to offer. So she talks him into it, and 8 guards, okay, and you know, we'll get some big tall guys in there, and you know, we'll probably have him. He can bring along his little knife, and you know, we'll get big guys. So they do that, and the next day they roam over to the island, and you know what happens is that overnight, when he goes back next day, they're eating well, but there's a little shortage of wine and stuff on the island. So he says, I got a little tap. He pulls out the tap, turns it on. Wow! They all run and get pails and everything, You got cognac coming out, 5 gallons of cognac and all that stuff, and they have a great time. Naturally, they start singing, isn't that right? They can hear the singing all the way to the main island. It's like the other night, they're all singing, man. And so this great singing is coming from the island, and so the girl is getting pretty smart by this time, and she says to him, you know, whoa, I'd love to have that hat. Well, what'll he offer? You have to make the deal. That's always true. Don't ask the soul what it wants. The soul says, what do you want? What do you want? What's the deal? I would like to sleep on your bed under, on top of the coverlet. We can have 12 men. Got it. So that's good. And then that's the way that is, huh? And what happens next? What? Oh yeah, that's right. We got the daddy. The daddy thing is bound to come along. So then, once that is done, then she says in the morning, this is the one that I want to be with. I want to marry this one. And that's the way that went. On condition that everybody from the island comes over here to the father. Father knows she's going to go off with this tablecloth guy. It goes along in this way with a great wedding at the end. And you got to hope that that wedding will be somewhere in your life. You get little bits of it here and there. So, what about the whole business of the two older brothers and the younger one? What's that about?
Greed and avarice. Parts of ourselves don't like it. Greedy and ambitious.
What do you think?
Well, I was going to say, no matter how much money you have in the world, you can never buy love.
Yeah, that's it. So there's a big split there between one part of your psyche that really wants money, fame, etc., and the other part that wants some love. And this one splits them really apart like that, and just says, "I got news for you. It ain't going to work that way." Another way to say it is that this is a tough world, and there are two older sons put inside of you, and they are interior, and they take the blows of the world. And they do all of that in order that you, the younger son, may eventually become the prodigal son. In other words, the biggest teaching in a story like this is that these are not bad people, the two older sons. That's the most amazing thing. Everyone in the psyche is essential, including the two older brothers. And I like that part of it very much. And so therefore, from that point of view, a story like this tells you you have to honor those two older brothers. They're not going to end up with much. Isn't that right?
I wanted to say I had an insight because of what we're talking about. And I think those two older brothers represent a kind of sacrifice that is made because they're sacrificing that love. That I think and providing for the youngest brother.
That's right. That's what he's saying. They provide the coach, right? And the carriage and everything. So you get somewhere. Right. That's right. And there's something about everybody's knocking their rational mind and their intellect. Look, that's got you to the university. Right? And then you read a book finally in the university. So that's lovely. You had something, yes?
Along that line, the brothers got him to the place where it feels like the feminine, there's the thing of being seen again. The feminine sees him now, but he wouldn't have been seen with the brothers that hang out in there.
That's exactly right. Yeah, please.
The first deal I would have wanted to make was free the people, because that's the noble thing. But I forgot that he's got this gift, and that woman was attracted to him, but she wasn't saying it. She wasn't saying it, and he just eased his way in.
That's a clever story. You know, that's the old leftist thing. Let's go free everybody on the island. Huh? That's right, but it happened in the other way. It happened strangely through the beloved, and through the gifts that are given inside. I mean, you know, I don't know. Do you know the poems of Etheridge Knight, the black poet? He used to come here, and he had a gift like that. Out of his mouth would come food and water and everything. Yes, over here we had someone. Yes.
I love the way that, the image of the island for me was shadow people. You know, we're bringing the shadow people back, but only after they've been clothed and fed and celebrated.
Now, how do you deal with the island if you forget about any political things? And it said everyone in this story is inside you. Everyone in this story is inside you.
Also, it's like the way Campbell talks about the forest and the village.
Uh-huh.
It's like the love of the beloved that the boy does, instead of literally trying to free all these people and redeem the exiled material, he goes at this beloved thing, and that's that ritual way of making this connection between the forest and the village.
Yeah, that's lovely. And the fact is that we were given enormous gifts when we were very small, and those gifts were given, and it was given by like a divine female, and somehow that has to be understood. Yes, please.
He did use the gifts for the people on the island. I mean, that was unlike the brothers who used their gifts purely for selfish reasons. He took the clothing and the food and the wine and gave it to the people on the island. I mean, he kept the magic up, but he gave the.
But if those people are inside you, what's that like to feed the people on the island?
When he brings them in from the island, those people are going to blend into the kingdom. And his energy, his love for people will blend into the place, too.
Uh-huh.
And that's, in a curious way, is on the island. There's some kind of rehearsing of generosity there. And there's some potential for a real thing, for the people to love him, probably.
That's right. But also, we have to say that these are parts that you are not completely aware of. It takes a while to get to the island, doesn't it? In fact, you have to be rowed over there by the emperor's guys. So right now, there are all these people inside of us that we don't even know about. And they don't have any food, and they don't have any clothes. Is that right? And think about those young men that you were with in prison. I mean, they have no idea of that. And but that's not different from us. It's just different in degree. Yes. What do you think, Tim?
Could that be the despair? Yes.
What do you say, Robert? Could those people on the island be the ones that are feeding you despair? Yes.
Isn't this also the time when he's developing the gifts that were given? He has to take them, develop them, use them in this internal way before they can be seen by the world.
Got to be used in an internal way. And in a way, when you start to write poetry, you start to write music, you're using that in an internal way. You're turning on the tap and certain things are happening. And your own life on the outside may not change. But things are happening in.
What's the position of the second brother telling us?
The what?
The second brother. Where is he? Why 3 brothers?
Who's going to Melodrama? Why 3 brothers? Why is it always 3?
Because 3 is good.
What? Yeah, he's just in there in order to make it 3, right? But the one inside of you with the cup and everything is outnumbered.
Or, you know, you have to make a mistake in life, and then you have to make another mistake in life until you finally get to the true goal.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
There's something about that those people on the island aren't really noticed until he starts using his gifts, and they get a little vibrancy to them. So it's almost like you don't believe you have those gifts in yourself until you start to use them, and then you see that there is something in there.
I have this feeling that these people are the griefs, the sorrows, the things that we don't want to feel, and then when we start using our gifts, we start feeling those things.
Mm-hmm. Sure, yes, please.
Well, I was asking myself, what gives him the right to make a deal with these gifts, their divine gifts? What gives him the right to take a spiritual thing and put a price tag on it almost?
Well, what gave Hafez the right to take up the offer that the dead poet made 200 years before and go and stay awake in the tomb for 40 nights? You don't need to have a right to do that. It's offered. That's what the guy did. He said, anyone who wants to come to my tomb.
But that's a sacrifice. I mean, giving up this, that he's giving up the scissors, and also that it's in return for something that's also another kind of giving, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Marry isn't a selfish thing, as much as it feels like that. It's a win-win marriage, and because he does love her, then it's beautiful.
But you got to go back inside yourself. You see, this is a beloved inside of you, and you don't get to her just by drawing a map. A lot of deals have to be made. From one point of view, she's been burned many times with people who say, I want you to, you know, and so on. We're going to leave this in a minute, but I just want to go back. What about the people in the courtyard? What about you go in there and this guy is shouting and so on, and the woman is there and sees your beauty? What is that?
Associate that the angry voice of the innkeeper with an angry voice that comes that I can hear about things I desire and how I say to myself that I don't deserve them, or I put them down.
Yeah.
But I don't know so much about the woman.
I see that as like the suppressed part of you, the part that's always been cut down, then sees your grandiosity and your luminance.
Mm-hmm.
You had something here, Paul.
I feel it's my father and my mother are better than me.
Yeah.
Growing up, my mother was always the stargazer. My father was always the worker.
Okay, we should leave this soon. I called up Joy Timpanelli and I said, I'm telling this story, and she said, you know, one of the most wonderful things about this story, and be sure to understand this, is that don't take a negative attitude towards the innkeeper and the wife. They are essential. I thought that was amazing. There are no wicked people in this story. That innkeeper and that harsh voice there is absolutely essential in order to lead the whole plot going through. And that's amazing to me, because I was very surprised when Joya said that, and I wasn't ready to accept that, really. Everyone is doing the right thing. All of that anger coming out of the ego, all of that jealousy of the feminine and the jealousy of your younger brother calls attention to the beauty of that for you.